Want to know the truth about artificial sweeteners? Here's the truth. You can lose weight with artificial sweeteners. Now, it has become so trendy today to hate on anything that is not natural. Everybody's on this raw kick, this organic kick. That's all good and fine, and I support you on it. But that's not the only way to go. I was getting about 2,400 calories a day with big gulps from the big gas station cups of Dr. Pepper at about 2,400 calories, 800 times 3. I wouldn't have been able to do anything about that had I not had the option of diet drinks. I switched over, and of course today I don't drink nearly as much. I drink, as far as diet drinks, I only drink about 2 to 3 cans per week of a diet soda if I want. What I typically do is I do Splenda. I do coffee about 3 times a week as well, maybe 4. And I just have 1 cup. I use 5 Splendas. If I do a tea, I do the stevia great value artificial sweetener you see in the back. And I do about a half cup, and that's per liter. So it's real sweet, but that floats my boat. And that is stevia natural sweetener with dextrose, I believe, which is basically a sugar oil filler that's non-calorie. I will have a Diet Dr. Pepper, Big Red Zero, like you see here. Basically anything to get a sweet taste, which brings me to the point that I'm really making. You do not ever want to let something like a soda that has zero nutritional value to own you. You don't want to be drinking it and have it replace something like water or tea, because it's not going to do it. You're going to be in bad shape if you do. Eventually it's going to throw off your body's balance of nutrients and liquid. It's going to be terrible. But here's another fact of the matter. I don't want to know anyone who doesn't have vices. We all have vices. We all sometimes eat things we shouldn't. We all sometimes, there's really nothing you shouldn't eat, but we all have a rhythm, because nature teaches us that the extremes are what kill you. We all have, if we have them in sync, then they're not extremes. I don't want to meet you if you don't have some vices. So once in a while, I'm going to have a diet soda, and I'm going to enjoy it because I can enjoy it and let it take the edge off without replacing something in my diet. So here's the way it works. Here's some myths we need to debunk about artificial sweeteners. Number one, they say it messes up your taste, and you want real junk, you want bad foods even more. False. It can be true, but it's basically false. If you wait until you need it and you say, I need something sweet right now, and you sip on a diet soda, for instance, or a artificially sweetened tea, that's serving a purpose. The mind-body connection cannot be overlooked, because when you're satisfied with something, even if it's not, quote, good for you, you still benefit from it. That's number one. Number two is the idea that it causes cancer, which has already been debunked. If you think it causes cancer, artificial sweeteners do not cause cancer. And the first initial studies that seem to point to it go way back to the late 1970s. It stems from basically rats being fed 3 times their body weight with aspartame. And so basically everything you hear, you can ignore it. That's nonsensical. Number 3, and here's the big one today, that thanks to the efforts of Dr. Joseph Mercola and many others, including David Wolf and all these big names in the weight loss scene, they're saying you get an insulin response from diet drinks. Guess what? That's false. In most studies, there is nearly none or no insulin response whatsoever, except in dogs and animals. For some reason there is. There's not in humans. And if there was, your body will quickly learn what you're doing and will not produce insulin for a taste like that. So the idea that you're going to drink an artificially sweetened drink and have a bunch of insulin just making you fat all around your body, just a bunch of insulin swimming around in there, is pretty much a nonsensical idea that you can outright dismiss. I would not have been able to lose my weight had that been the case. But I clearly did. So I sometimes get people, by the way, that accuse me of lying about that. They accuse me of having gastric bypass and not telling anybody, and that because if I drank sodas, I would have been fat from all the insulin. Complete and total nonsense. So those things are false. What is true, if you are not careful, you will dehydrate yourself on a lot of artificially sweetened drinks, and you'll end up lacking nutrients. So you'll also get cramps. I've had serious trouble with cramps from drinking too much soda, which I did when I started losing weight. But I've eventually mastered that. The point is this: everything in your life can be had pretty much in balance. As long as you are not imbalanced, you're going to maintain a certain rhythm and you're going to flow. You're going to have an ebb and flow, and it's going to be fine, because nature teaches us that the extremes are only the extremes when we dwell on them. If you go and do this or that and it's, quote, not good for you, then that's okay, as long as it's not your mainstay. What you do 10% of the time is not what hurts you. What you do 90% of the time is what hurts you. So I hope this has been helpful.